Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via YouTube streaming, via Facebook streaming, and also via Skype online. 9 points and enneagram. This is in response to a question relating to the 5 centers of the heart, which in Sufi terminology is known as qalb, and the 9 points. The significance: many masters and mystics has worked on human development, transformation of human consciousness. Sufis have their own map, yoga has its own map, Aurobindo has his own, science has its own way of explanation. And in fact, science, the quantum physics, the Euler's theorem, and Euclidean geometry, all these help to understand it better. All is needed an integrated awakening that can see the semblance in these. When you look at the first figure, when I had the image, when I had spoken that it is incumbent on each Muslim to offer prayers for 5 times. There are specific times for each prayer, and each prayer works on a particular one of these 5 heart centers, the lataifs as it is known as in Sufi terminology. 2 of these, when we locate the nipples in the chest area, 2 points are 2 finger width above the nipples, 2 points on 2 finger width below the nipples, 1 in the center, 2 finger width below the nipples in the center of the 2 points, and the same way 2 above. Remember, human body, as you know only physical body. There is physical, there is astral, there is magnetic, there is electrical, there is psychic. So these centers are not located in the physical body because they have nothing to do with the physical. But for the sake of explanation and understanding, the masters have drawn whatever technology is available to them to explain the location. You will not be able to figure it out on your own. It is only when you are in a state of meditation, sitting down within the energy field of an awakened one, then this and the energy falls to invoke the heart center. you feel a kind of pulse as you feel when you locate the exact point during acupressure. You get a sharpness of the pain and you feel a pulse happening there. Those who are familiar with acupressure, they will know. Similar thing happens when the energy falls on a particular, focused on a particular. How does this energy falls? You want to find something. You have a flashlight in your hand. You focus the flashlight in that particular direction, light falls on it, and you see the object that you are looking for. In the same way, Master uses the flash of his awakening and just the very thought. In a way, we have to say it is thought that the disciple is sitting in front and the Master thinks immediately on the kalp center of the seeker. The connection is established. The light goes on, this starts flowing towards that. Now it depends upon the opening of the seeker and the inner state. This energy begins to move. You feel a pulse. You may feel kind of a very soothing kind of a pain. So each of these 5 centers, and 6 is the transcendental, is connected with prayers. The first is the kalb. The color is yellow, and the prayer that is time, that is Maghrib prayer. The second is Sir, the secret, red. This kalb center is on the right side of the nipple, 2 finger width above the nipple. The Sir, the second, the secret, red is the color, and the prayer is Isa. These are the terminologies which help to identify one of the 5 prayers that a Muslim is supposed to offer. This center is located 2 finger width above the nipple on the left hand side. Then comes the 2 below. The one on the left hand side below is known as we have to go with the right first. The right is the third. It is known as Sir. The color is white and the prayer is, the time is Zohar. The fourth is Khafi. His color is hidden green and the prayer time is Asr. Then you come to the middle one, which is the 5th. The prayer time is Fajr and the color is black. from where all the light emerges. Then there is transcendental. These 5 circles represents the heart, the 5 points of the heart center. Then there is a next one which is transcendental, which is annihilation. All these centers are annihilated. Now we have to go somewhere in the Sri Aurobindo's symbols, which has meaning. It has 2 isosceles triangles. One is the peak, the 2 triangles placed on one another. The top one is inverted because this represents the grace, and the other one is the human effort. So in that case, the base, the 2 angles remains the base and the third remains on top. Whereas the grace triangle is placed inverted. You can look at the symbol of Sri Aurobindo. As I have mentioned earlier, the spiritual life is a combination of 3 numbers, 3, 6 and 9. 3 represents, according to the Hindu mythology, Hindu way, Sat Chit Anand, truth, consciousness and beauty. In terms of science, it represents electron, protons and neutron that comprise the atom. And it is quite significant why this word atom was used, whereas in Hindu terminology the word Atma is used. So Sat Chit Anand, the descending triangle, descending, which is grace, represents Sat, truth, Chit is consciousness. When you have known truth, consciousness becomes your way, and then bliss is the outcome. In science there are 3 words again: energy, frequency and vibration. Entire cosmos, the sentient and insentient, are comprised of energy. Energy moves in frequency and it creates vibrations, which is bliss. So Sat is energy, Chit is the frequency or the consciousness, that it is through thought is something, the transcendence, the consciousness is transcendence of thought. Then the ascending triangle represents the aspiring answer from the matter in the form of life, love and light. First life comes in, understanding the life, love is born in you, and then light manifests. This is the aspiring answer from the matter under. That is why this is ascending triangle. and these form together when placed on one another. They form 8 different triangles, and the 2 is the original ascending and descending triangles, making it 10. 9 is the perfect number. It is single. It is obtained by 3 into 3. Then in the middle it forms a square. It represents the transformed being, or when the light descends in you, you are no more an ordinary person. Aurobindo calls it as avatar, incarnation. Something is born out of you. The flower has blossomed. So the water inside the square represents the multiplicity, the creation, and the lotus symbolizes the birth of a new consciousness. This is significant in the process of explaining this process. Now there is a Swiss mathematician, physicist, astronomer, geographer, engineer, logician who made influential discoveries in the branch of mathematics, infinitesimal calculus, graph theory, and also made pioneering contributions to various branches such as topology and other things. His name is Leonardo. He says if 2 of these 4 triangles, their centers are known, if the center of the 2 of the 4 triangles is known, then the position of the remaining 2 can be determined by them, and he has given a formula for that. There was another mathematician who worked on Euler's triangle determination problem, that if the position of these centers are given for an unknown triangle, then the in-center of the triangle lies within the orthocentroidal circle, the circle having the segment from the centroid to the orthocentral as its diameter. This is a little bit complicated. I will not go into this much. The 2 R's he uses, capital R represents the circumradius and small r represents in radius respectively. The 9-point center lies at the centroid of the 4 points, the triangle's 3 vertices and its orthocenter. Here it is I can go into the mathematical aspect of it, but that will be moving away a little bit, and in as much as you are not familiar with the mathematics of it, these of the 9 points defining the 9-point circle. The 3 midpoints of the line segment between the vertices and orthocenter are the reflections of the triangle's midpoint about the 9-point center. If I could develop a little more technology where during this live streaming I can use a blackboard or something, or slides where I can place it, but that technology I do not have as yet. So I will leave this. Each of the 9 points, according to the Sufi terminology and Naqshbandi Sheikh Abdullah Al-Faz Dagestani, he said, represents to 9 saints. The 9 points represents to 9 saints. I am just moving slightly to bring into another dimension of it. Hindus perform Ganesh Utsav during a certain period before, somewhere in August, September. It is a 10-day celebration, 9 days. It is the rituals and talks takes place. Each day is related to a particular deity or something or aspect, and on the 10th day in the morning, whatever you have learned is merged into the ocean. Symbolically, it is done by having a biodegradable statue of Ganesh, the elephant head Indian god. So you learn the basic everything for 9 days. Each day it is a different. And then on the 10th day, whatever you have learned, this is symbolic. You take that statue, biodegradable, and submerge into the ocean. This represents that whatever you have learned, you have offered to the existence. You have become zero. Come back, but it is a different. It is not. It is a cosmic zero which has been filled with the awakening. So that is this why it is done. So it is an important explanation. The Sufi terminology says each of these 9 points represent the 9 saints who are at the highest level of the divine presence. Ganesh is the wisest of all the gods. There was an incident when it was to be decided who among the Hindu gods which is most intelligent and who is to be worshipped first in the beginning of a prayer. So there was a competition, a question that whosoever takes the round, goes around the 3 universe, the earth, the heaven, and the nether sphere and will return first, will be the most intelligent. So it's like a race. Everyone using their vehicles ran. Ganesh vehicle is mouse. No matter why the Western media considers the Hindu ways and means ignorant, why mouse has been used in computer technology. This word, mouse moves very slow, and when you are using the mouse pad on your laptop, it moves slowly and points and takes you to that. And the binomial theorem, the 0 and 1, the language that computer understands is 0 and 1. That is a different matter. So Ganesh rode his vehicle, mouse, and his parents, Shiva and Parvati, was seated. He took the completed 3 circles around to the parents and sat down. So what happened? It is said, according to Hindus, the heaven and earth lies at the feet of parents. The importance is given to the parents. So when everyone returned and they saw Ganesh sitting there, and the result was declared that Ganesh is the most intelligent. He understood, and he was the scribe who was installed to compose when sage Vedavyas was getting the vision during meditation. And first day he saw the vision, he was overwhelmed, but then he could not recall, as according to the Islamic tradition, it is said Holy Prophet used to go to Mount Tur in the company of the words are used, he used to have communion with Allah, and Allah used to tell him some things, and he will come and narrate it to his sahibis, disciples, and this continued for 23 years. A collection of that is known as Quran-e-Pak, Quran-e-Majid. Symbolically, when Vedavyas saw this vision, he could not remember. Second day again it happened. Third day he prayed, let there be, if this vision is so important that it is coming to me again and again, give me strength to get it described for the future generation. Then Ganesh was sent as a scribe. And he said, I am a fast writer. Anytime if you stop, I will go away. At this, Vedavyas agreed, and he said, there is a condition that whatsoever I am saying, you do not write just so. You understand it and then write it. So wherever Vedavyas paused, Ganesh could not go away. And this is how the whole the Bhagavad Puran was written, and in different aspects of it. So Ganesh is that important deity as far as awakening is concerned, and according to Hindus, it is known as, the word is used, Kala. Kala means, like for instance, as an individual, I am speaking to you today on the Sufi terminology of 9 points. But I am incorporating other things also. So my awakening, my understanding is versatile, is multidimensional. Someone else, yesterday a person came and he said, when are you going to start the cooking class? I need to attend to it. So you are versatile in many art forms. This is known as Kala. So 9 of these, each one of these is invoked on a particular day during this 9-day festival. It represents the 9 saints who are at the highest level in the divine presence. They are the key to unfold powers within the human beings, but there is no permission to use these keys. I had spoken to you yesterday about 7 sages. Shiva was in intense meditation, how the world, the cosmos, the creation was done, how to make it run. You bought a house, now it's a big mansion, how it is to be managed, the different aspects of it. So there is, or any business organization, how it is to be run, there are different aspects of it. So there is a board of directors to take care of various needs of the business. So after that, Shiva convened the conference of 7 sages. There are names of these, and was explaining to them the deeper truth. Each one of them was excelling in a particular aspect. Like your managing team is comprised of the directors and they have a staff under them, the in-house accountant or the financial director, the R&D, research and development, the one that is concerned with the employment and the employees, the managing director. Each has a staff under it and the work goes on. So there is an important semblance to understand this. In order for you to attain to totality, all these 9 qualities that is represented by the 9 saints, or the 9-day worship again and again. Every year this festival takes place with great fervor. You have to invoke. When you enter the university and you graduate from there, the focus should be that. Your focus when you enter the university is to graduate from each class, and finally when you have finished the final years from the university, you have graduated from the university. So if we say that these 9 saints are the university of the eternal, So each one of them represents a standard, and you have to graduate from there so that you can graduate finally from the University of the Nine Saints, or you graduate from the 9 art forms, 9 different forms of Ganesh. When you finish, you do not go back again and again to the university. You have to, having come out of the university, you plunder into the world to teach what you have learned. Use that awakening, that understanding in order to make your livelihood. But when it comes to Ganesh Utsav or these things, we do it again and again. I have attended this only once. After that, there was never any need. But then it becomes a ritual, a social function. René Guénon says, if an idea is true, it belongs equally to all who are capable of understanding it. If it is false, there is no credit in having invented it. A true idea cannot be new, for truth is not a product of human mind. It exists independently of us, and all of us have to do is to take cognizance of it. Outside this knowledge, there can be nothing but error. So when these 7 sages, a particular subject is there, just like in your business organization, when all the directors agree on a particular point, you go ahead with that project. So when these 7 Sapt Rishi, Sapt means 7, Rishis means sages, they agree on one particular solitary truth, then it becomes the way of life. Now there is an important the development which is known as enneagrams. The word enneagram comes from the 2 words ennea and grams. It is of Greek origin. Ennea means 9, gram means something written or drawn. Have captivated and perplexed the human mind since its appearance in the modern West. There are fewer potent examples, but so blatant exemplify esoteric knowledge through this enneagram. In numerology, there are 9 numbers. Each one of these represents a particular type of a personality type. Number 1 have these qualities. Number 2, these enneagram is 9-pointed figure of the enneagram has entered into the mainstream, illustrates its strange fate and perhaps the fate of all things that are of a transcendental nature. It is said that enneagram is arguably the worst kept secret of spiritual history. It has generated a great deal of speculation about its origin and no less its application. Gurdjieff has used these. That's why I brought the enneagram and its significance. The enneagram has generated a great deal of speculation about its origins and no less its application, yet it remains for the most part veiled in its own secret as what is the fact or fiction or even allegory of the unknown. Although enneagram may be as old as Babylon and following the estimation exemplify various efforts to unveil this ancient symbol, just as the symbols, the Greek letters, runes, they are also used to explain the human type, and they are also used as a process of healing. It is concluded that this symbol and the idea for which it stands originated with almost 2500 years ago and was revised when the power of the Arabic numerical system was developed in Samarkand in 15th century. This was mentioned by George Ivanovich Gurdjieff's disciple Bennett. What fundamentally distinguishes the sacred from the modern perspective, not only with regards to the ancient symbols of the enneagram, but all traditional symbols, is their original as their origin in an atemporal and source, atemporal and transpersonal source, rather than man-made sources. It is atemporal or transpersonal. The origin of enneagram has an important place in Islamic esotericism. Although enneagram is a universal symbol and has been traced to several different origins, a primary source was found in Islamic esotericism. An imperative encounter that illumines the traditional source, the enneagram, took place between Gurdjieff and Naqshbandi Sheikh Abdullah Al-Faz Ad-Dagestani, who was born in 1891 and left the world in 1973. It was he who raised and Sheikh Abdullah Al-Faz Dagestani was trained by his mother's brother, Sheikh Sharifuddin Al-Dagestani, who was born in 1875 and left the world in 1936. He was of the Naqshbandi Sufi order. It is this encounter, along with other key Sufi works, that not only help to contextualize the Anagram, rather the presence of God was Allah, and it is used in Sufism as tasawwuf, but unveils the spiritual dimension. This word Wajah Allah is symbolic. It represents three hands of holy prophet. The term is meant side of Allah. The Wajah Allah, side of Allah, the face of Allah and hands of Allah. It denotes holy prophet and holy imams. There are many verses to explain this, which I will not go into, as I am not familiar with the Arabic language in which Quran is written. There is an important meeting as far as the 9 points is concerned, as an explanation, because the questionnaire has asked about 9 points, and as I am speaking on this, I will take certain other aspects which are related and have not been questioned. As soon as there was a meeting between Gurdjieff, he was very much interested in the Sufi way. He traveled to the Middle East in search of the miraculous. He met different masters, and each one of them. Now this is also symbolic. Why Gurdjieff has to go to 8 different masters to learn? First was a drummer. So when the biographer, the author of the book, The Masters of Gurdjieff, Leon Leeford, he went and he met the masters. The first one, he asked, "What did you teach, Sheikh? What did you teach Gurdjieff?" He said, "I taught him how to breathe." Immediately a question comes, breathe? Then the Sheikh said, "Do you know how to breathe?" Now you look at the present pandemic. If we know the art of breathing correctly, we can ward off all fears of being infected by this pandemic. Through breathing, you generate more dark, the healing energy in you. The breathing is the bridge that connects you, bridges you between your finite life and the infinite cosmos. So Gurdjieff met Sheikh Abdullah al-Dagestani, and he said, "You are interested in the knowledge of the 9 points." Gurdjieff nodded in assertion, and Sheikh said, "We will speak on it in the morning after the dawn prayer." The Fajr is the prayer at dawn. Something happens in a particular way, it is written. But when it is to be enacted, many more dimensions are added. When the important scripture of Hindus, Mahabharata, was enacted on the small screen television, the one who wrote the dialogues and the stories was a Muslim. At certain things he added which were not the part of the original scripture. When he was questioned, he said, I am the author. I can envision what would have happened at that moment. When one of the character, Bhishma, is lying down on the bed of arrows in the battlefield, every day after the war is over at dusk, different people will come to meet him. This was not in the original script. Many such things he added. It was the creativity of the author. Because it was written so many years ago, that time human understanding was different than it is now. When I am explaining to a different set of people with different understanding. I have to make it more understandable. So this is what he said, I am an author. I have to bring much more reality. And he begins with a sound comes in the background. I am time. But this is not an ordinary voice. It is like a prophetic voice. I am time. And the way it is said mysteriously, he needed a particular nuance behind it. So the narrator was able to pick up. It was not an ordinary broadcast. It was not anything. It has to be a prophetic voice, as if the message is descending from the beyond. That kind of voice modulation and tuning was necessary. And he says, I can see everything, yet you cannot see me. This is time. Time sees everything, but you cannot see the time. So this meeting that happened between Gurdjieff and Sheikh Abdullah asked Gurdjieff, who had come to meet Sheikh, the master of the time, and he said, you are interested in the knowledge of the 9 points, to which Gurdjieff nodded. Sheikh said, we will speak on this in the morning after the dawn prayer fajr. Now you go and eat something and rest. At the time of the dawn prayer fajr, Sheikh recalled Gurdjieff to come and pray with him. As I said, the morning prayer relates to the qalb, the first center, which is on the right hand side. And meditate is during the prayer, the tawajjuh goes on that particular center. As soon as the prayer finished, the Sheikh began to recite Surah Yasin. It is considered to be the heart of Holy Quran, Quran Pak, Quran Majid. And as he finished reciting Surah Yasin, Gurdjieff approached him and he said if he could speak of what he had just experienced. Gurdjieff narrates, it used to happen whenever we sit down in the company of the Sheikh after the meditation session is over. I used to be a witness as a little child. Whenever my uncle, the Sufi Omkarnath, will visit my hometown, there was an elderly person who had been bridged to Lalaji, Chachaji, Sheikh Brij Mohan Lal, and now the fourth generation Sufi Omkarnath. He used to live in my hometown. So whenever my uncle will come, I will accompany him. And two of them is in their intense meditation. So I will pretend and close my eyes and sit down. But it was not, for me at that age, it was a fun. But it was not just fun, it was intense training was being given. My uncle will ask me to go. Sometimes I would not want to go, but he will insist that I accompany him. So after that, this person will say, Omkar, that was my uncle's name. Kya kaifiyat thi? What was the state? He will narrate. So then I used to say something, I had to say something also. But a few times I get rebuffed by him. No, it was not so. You are just making up. So Gurdjieff now gives a narration of what had happened in that. Because Gurdjieff was a very advanced seeker, very much interested, very much developed, and yet still he went. And this is also symbolic why Gurdjieff went to 8 different masters in the Middle East. One of them was a carpet weaver. Gurdjieff did not know. When he inquired, he was told that you will meet him at this particular shop. So Gurdjieff comes in and the master is showing the carpets that are displayed on the counter. And he points out he recognized Gurdjieff, but Gurdjieff could not recognize him that he is the master. So he points out to a particular piece of carpet with a particular design and asks him, what do you think of this piece of carpet? Gurdjieff said, it's beautiful, very interesting. The master said, rubbish, look at it deeply and then tell me. When he looked at it, Gurdjieff's head started spinning. State of confusion came in. So sometimes certain designs are such that creates confusion and you lose your clarity of the mind. So he taught him how to blend the colors. When you look at the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, a lot of them or confusion of his mind. Whereas Van Gogh was considered mad, but his paintings are very meaningful. He is showing in the painting the trees growing so tall, reaching beyond the skies. Someone asked him, he said, what can I do if the trees wants to communicate with the cosmos? To this, when someone asked, I said, trees are the expression of the intense desire of the earth to communicate with the sky. There is a vast difference between the two, the earth and the sky. How can earth communicate with the sky? When rain falls as grace, the seeds blossom, trees grow, they grow so tall, it represents the intense desire of the earth to communicate with the sky. So as soon as the prayer finished, now these are not in that day. This is the way of explanation, bringing the other dimensions into it to make it understandable. This is what Rahi Masoom Raza told, that I am a writer. I can add many things. I can visualize what would have happened at that time. A day before, in the same episode, when Bhishma he has given the clue how he can be killed. He is restless and is walking alone, and he sees on the bank of the river Ganga, a woman is cleaning the ground. And Bhishma was the son of that lady Ganga. He said, Mate, he recognized, what are you doing this? He says, my son, you seem to be very tired. I am cleaning this place because that's where you will rest. This is not in the original script by Veda Vyas. But this added a new dimension, a beauty to the portrayal on the television. When I look at this, I look at the nuances, how this has been presented. So Gurdjieff says, as soon as you finish the Surah Yasin, as soon as you finish meditation and started reciting Surah Yasin, I saw you come to me and take my hand. We were transported to a beautiful rose garden. A similar incident I will explain to you probably in the next session that happened between Lalaji and the throne that descended, and how he was presented by Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan to that throne and accepted at the same time. We were transported to a beautiful rose garden. You told me that this garden is your garden and these roses are your disciples. The advanced stage of disciples. These roses are your disciples, each with the color of its own and fragrance. You directed me to one particular red rose and said that it is yours. Go and smell it. As I did, I saw a rose open and I disappeared within it and became the rose. I entered its roots and they led me to your presence. I found myself entering into your heart and becoming part of you. Through your spiritual powers, I was able to ascend to the knowledge of the 9 points. Then a voice addressing me as Abdul Noor said, "This light and knowledge has been granted to you from the divine presence of God, Wajh Allah, to bring peace to your heart. However, you must not use the power of this knowledge." The voice bid me farewell. With the salutation of peace and vision ended as you were finishing the recitation of Surah Yasin from Quran. Sheikh Abdullah replied, "Surah Yasin indeed is called the heart of Quran by Holy Prophet, and the knowledge of these 9 points was opened to you through it. Through this prayer of Surah Yasin, the secret of these 9 points was revealed to you. The vision was the blessing of this verse, peace, a world of salutations from the most merciful. Each of the 9 points represents 9 saints of the divine presence. They are key to this mysterious energy field within human beings, but there is no permission to use these keys. This is a secret that in general it will not be opened until the last days, when Mahdi appeared and Jesus returns. This is in short about the 9 points. That is why you want to know about it theoretically. It is not an aspect. 9 points and the Kalp center, it is not to be understood theoretically. Yet still I try to explain with certain examples and certain nuances that I had experienced during my association with the Masters and the long journey of transformation of human consciousness, that I have been able to explain certain things to you. So until next week, when we will continue more on these different aspects, take care and do have a pleasant day.